I don't follow sports nearly as much as I used to. I used to be dedicated, faithful, following all the sports, whatever, but I don't really care much anymore. But once again, the TikTok feed that knows what I want, it's been feeding me this Shedeur Sanders thing over and over again since he fell out of the first round of the draft. And I'll ask your thoughts on it, but I'll share mine first. In that, when it happened, when Shedeur Sanders fell out of the first round of the draft, I cannot tell you how many videos I saw from people saying this is the NFL colluding against the black quarterback. This shows the racism about the NFL for a strong, confident black man and fan leadership. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Are you fucking insane? Are you kidding? I cannot stand it when people take, of all people, by the way, of all people, a rich celebrity Nepo baby D1 football player with a shot of playing in the NFL who happens to be black and saying him not getting drafted in the first round of the NFL is some sort of example of structural institutional racism pervading a major American institution. Go to fucking hell. What is wrong with you? Especially when the first person drafted in the NFL draft was a black quarterback. Explain that one to me. But then people would say, well, it's not necessarily about being black. It's actually about culture and everything, because wearing $100,000 diamond chains and being an asshole to the people who are interviewing you and overestimating your position in life is an inherently black trait. Once again, go fuck yourself. I don't know, John, what did you think about it when you first heard about this?
TJ, I'm just so happy that you are on that side of the fight, because if I had to sit here and
that's why I went first, actually. That is why I went first, yes.
and take the argument that no, this black man I'm talking to is wrong about institutional racism. That would have looked bad. I still would have done it because I'm right, but it would have looked bad. So you're 100% correct. Like, because people are making that argument, right? And it's an insult. You're right. It's an insulting argument. I'll let you take that insulting side, but like, people need to understand that you can be black and have bravado and still get all of the riches in sports. Muhammad Ali, wonderful example of this.
Deion Sanders,
and also Muhammad Ali is a great example who is loud and outspoken in a good way. That should be looked up to, as opposed to And honestly, throughout this process, I did feel a little bad for Shedeur Sanders. Because I do think that he completely fucked up his future by listening to his dad and taking the route that he did. It was because people compared it to Johnny Manziel, and Johnny Manziel dropped more than people thought he would because of a similar issue. Baker Mayfield was selected number 1 overall, but he also had those similar kind of fuck you personality character concerns. But you know what? Baker Mayfield didn't just be like, I'm not going to show up to my interviews. I'm not going to do all of these things. And also, he was a better quality prospect coming out. There was another quarterback, the Alabama quarterback, whose name is just leaving off the top of my head, another black quarterback. And he was asked during one of his interviews, what they were watching film, and they're like, he was asked, what do you do bad? What are your weaknesses? And he just started listing things off, and they're like, yo, slow down. Aren't you a little worried that you're listing all of these bad things about your game, and you're going to make yourself look bad? And he was like, honestly, I don't want to insult you by assuming you haven't watched the film and have come to the same conclusions that I did. And that's the way you fucking answer that question. Shedeur did the opposite. That is the wrong thing to do. You need to take personal accountability. You need to be a team first mentality player to succeed as a quarterback in the NFL. This has just been proven time and time and time again, and that is why he fell. It's not just that he wasn't that good, which he wasn't. Was he a 5th round talent? No, he wasn't. But was he the 3rd overall, 2nd overall pick that people claim? He was. That was never going to happen. But he acted like it, and that's just a failure to accurately assess his own talent, which is problematic in its own right for an on-field product perspective. Then you add the circus that he's going to be bringing, and it all doesn't make sense. And the reason I really fucking hate it is because the NFL did 100% collude against Colin Kaepernick because of systemic racism. 1,000,000% Colin Kaepernick should have been playing football in the NFL, and that is an actual instance of institutional racism in collusion against a player. This ain't it. And by saying this is it, you kind of give cover to the people who say other real instances weren't real, because this is not what that was, guys.
Yeah, dipping into the well of this must be a racist act is like you said, it is particularly offensive when there are a dozen readily apparent reasons why this happened that you don't need to stack a conspiracy theory on top of. One of the I wish I could remember who said this, because it was a great maybe it was Chris Carter who said that the problem, well, one of the many problems with Shedeur Sanders is that, John, you were talking about how there are plenty of examples of brash, supremely arrogant, entitled athletes. And listen, if you are a Division I athlete, and by the way, not just a Division I athlete, but in the top 1% of Division I athletes who are even considered to join the NFL, who isn't going to be arrogant? Of course you're arrogant. They're all fucking arrogant, right? There, that just comes with the territory. To go beyond that is pretty shocking. But we mentioned people who do display this brash, like Muhammad Ali, and I said his own dad, Deion Sanders. The difference is that it's not just that Deion Sanders was a better player. That's not it necessarily. It's that Deion Sanders was a defensive back, not a quarterback. The way your quarterback acts and behaves matters. It fucking matters. Like, you are essentially the CEO.
You want your cornerback to be a little screw loose in the head. You want them to be a little crazy. You want them to be shit talking. You don't want that out of your quarterback.
No. Like, defensive backs can do whatever the hell they want. Okay, defensive back is probably the hardest position to play in professional sports. I heard a great joke about it. I was like, it is so hard they don't even let white guys do it. Okay, they don't even allow them to play. That one guy,
Cooper DeJean,
DeJean,
Philadelphia.
Yes, yeah, they let it was him and Jason Sehorn. They're the only two white DBs I can think of. Like, but it was so you got to be crazy to try to play that position. Quarterback, you're a field general. You need to have your head on straight. You need to look your owner in the eye and say, yes, I'm going to take care of your multi-billion-dollar industry. You don't want a guy acting like that as a starter. You sure as hell don't want someone acting like that as a backup.
I didn't mean to cook this, Colby. I don't know if this is true. I was going to look up this.
Is it true? It's true.
The NFL argued in court they should pay black players less due to CTE because
it's true.
Baselines. Yeah, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
and is an actual example of institution.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
Shedeur Sanders is not. Huge ass. Did you hear about the prank call thing?
No, funny, hilarious. So
there's a couple levels to this story where when I first heard it, for people who don't know, someone prank called Shedeur Sanders, who was called it. I wonder if our audience pays attention to.
Maybe they don't even know. Yeah,
I do wonder. Let us know in the comments. By the way, this is good content for you guys, because I can talk about this all day. But Shedeur Sanders, he was following down the draft. Someone prank called him and was like, "Hey, we're the GM of this team. You're getting drafted," and he was like, "Yeah," and no, it didn't happen. And I first heard it was a frat from a rival school that did it, and I was like, that's good. That is what college sports exists for. You prank your rival schools. It's all in good fun. Yeah, that really sucks. And I do, as I said, I do personally feel bad for Shedeur, because I don't think a lot of this is his fault. But yeah, that's that is a coup for that frat. But when I found out it was the son of the Falcons defensive coordinator, I think, it was like, oh shit, that's bad. That's a bad look for the league. That's a bad look for the Falcons. It's a bad look for everyone. He should not have done that. That is dumb. And he's a dumb college kid doing a dumb college kid thing. And I will forgive not actually harmful, dumb college kid behavior most of the time. And I will do that here. But it did change it for me.
Yeah.
With that being the case. But I will also say, if Shedeur had actually went in his interviews with that GM, maybe he would have recognized his fucking voice.
It wasn't. It wasn't a GM for the Falcons. It was his son that did it.
His son is the one who got the phone. Yeah.
And so,
but he said he was the GM for, and I don't know what he was the GM for.
He said he was the GM for the Saints. So he said he was the GM for the Saints. But yeah, that when I first heard it, I thought it was hilarious. But I did wonder, how did he get a number that Shedeur would think was the NFL, someone in the draft, right?
So they get phones, like the.
Oh yeah, I know now.
People like the NFL gives them a specific phone that they will be called on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, from Shedeur's perspective, it's like,
yeah,
this is the draft phone call phone. There's no one else would be calling this phone.
Right. I mean, I know now. At the time, I was wondering how. I didn't know that, and I was like, "How did that happen?" Then I said, "Oh, okay. It had the actual special phone, and the phone the number would have been a call from someone who knew the number. Oh, it was a family member. It does make it less cool. You do have to wonder why he recorded that. Like, you got to know you're putting your dad's career like in jeopardy here when you do something like that. You're taking food out of your own mouth. Not a bright person. Like the prank, if he'd have found a way to keep it anonymous, which would have been hilarious, but recorded it, he posted the video online. Kind of insane. Well, before I forget, one thing you also mentioned is that Shedeur got bad advice from his old man and saying that, hey, you can act like this, you can be entitled prick, because there are plenty of examples of quarterbacks being entitled pricks in their own way. And by overestimating his how quality of a prospect he was, because you don't have to see you don't have to look far to find situations in which quarterbacks are drafted number one and they say, yeah, I'm not playing here, fuck you, not happening. The biggest close example, I think, was Eli Manning. When Eli Manning was drafted by the Chargers and his dad said, no, my son's not playing for San Diego, get it now. Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say this, like, well, saying that you're not going to fulfill a contract that never stopped the people. Look what happened to Eli Manning. People, I need to listen to me very carefully. Shedeur Sanders is no Eli Manning. Okay, that is why this comparison doesn't work. If he was a guaranteed number one, number two choice, yes, you can perform that. You can be as big of a dick as you want. But when you're on the bubble of maybe starting or not, no, you don't have that kind of leverage. And yeah, he just believed his own hype about it. No one wants the story to be the starting or the backup quarterback. No one wants a Tim Tebow situation where the media is flooding your backup after every game. And I can see why it fell. But yeah, I don't know if I say I feel bad for Shedeur. Maybe I guess I do, because he was taking advice from someone he trusted, his dad. Like, you would think, and his dad, to be fair, his dad's been right plenty of times in a row, every time along the way with college and stuff. So yeah, he built up the confidence. But I mean, it is just funny, though. It is just funny to see it all happen.
The last NFL top, because I didn't think you were going to ask about that. I thought you were going to ask about something else, given that my Philadelphia Eagles went and visited Donald Trump this week.
Oh boy,
and that has been quite the story in local sports media. I've actually been beefing with some of the the radio personalities on Twitter over this, which is very funny because I'm not doing it as Counterpoint Politics. I'm doing it as John Cooper.
This is John.
And I've actually because I've been working Threads like crazy. Like, Threads is now my main platform. I'm getting like millions and millions of views on Threads, like more than I ever. And a view on Threads doesn't count the same, but still, like, that has become my main platform. And putting the most time in, and I've learned how to do that medium better. And so I've noticed that my tweets, when I'm tweeting at people, I know how to get their attention now. And so I'm getting these guys' attention, and they're continuing to come back to me. And I don't know why, but people are just and something that has frustrated me about it is that a lot of these people are why? Because Saquon Barkley, for those who don't know, Saquon Barkley went and played. Saquon Barkley is the running back for the Eagles, and he went and played golf with Trump and was on Air Force One with him. And he made this statement saying, "Guys, I golfed with Obama when he was president. I just respect the office." And it's just, I hate the people who are like, "Why do you care what this man does?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to hang my fucking respect for an athlete based on their political preferences. I think that would be pretty dumb of me. But yeah, I should care if the guy goes and eats with a fucking fascist. I don't understand these people who are like, why do you care about this? Because we think he's a fascist. Why would you not expect? Maybe you disagree with that, and that is fine. But if someone tells me they think the president's a fascist, I'm going to expect them to be upset when their favorite football player goes and fucking plays golf with him. Wouldn't you? I don't understand why people, and I think it's because people don't understand. We've talked about this before. They don't know what that word means. They don't see it as a description. They just see it as a pejorative that you call someone an enemy. And it's like, no, I think he's a terrible human being who's causing incalculable harm to good people, innocent people. And yeah, I think that doing a PR stunt with that person is not a good thing to do and deserves criticism. And if you're going to say shut up about it, you're also adding to the fucking fire. You should shut up about it then. If you don't care, stop caring.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you care about this or not? It reminds me of the Little Mermaid controversy back when there was a black Little Mermaid, and I kept seeing conservatives make videos. Now, listen, I don't care one way or the other about the Little Mermaid, but let me do a 2-minute video telling you my opinion on why it's bad that she's black. Okay, buddy, do you care about this or not? Because you will never find a video about me talking about the Little Mermaid and whether she should be black. But you can find a ton. It's like the trans issues. They say they don't care, and then they expound on it. But yeah, this is something. If you have a football player that you like you're a fan of this person, and you find out this person's a fascist, I think it's cool, or at least has no problem. You know what? It would be different. It would be different if, say, my favorite player or someone, anybody, went to the White House for the presentation or whatever. I prefer they not. Like Jalen Hurts didn't. Plenty of people don't. But if they went to the White House and they had like the photo or whatever, that's one thing. Going and personally hanging out with them for a day, you're sending a message. You didn't do that on a whim. You knew that people would see it, and you thought this would be beneficial to you. There's a reason you allow cameras. There's a reason you're walking off the helicopter or the plane with them or whatever. You were perfectly fine with it. You got to be fine with the backlash. I can't believe people are upset about this. I went to hang out with the president. Yeah, go to hell. And listen, for those of you who know,
he's like, get this political bullshit out of my mentions.
Yeah.
Like, it's the you just, and I've seen this before. He's like, you just like come on, guys, why are you making a visit to the White House political? Like, yeah, but like that's the way people a lot of people genuinely feel and have felt in this country for a very long time. And like I think that's the thing that we got to just like kick that fucking thought process to the moon, because it's harmful. It's harmful to think that caring about politics is annoying or wrong in any way. We need to encourage more political discussion in this country.
Yes.
And when I say that, I don't mean the shit that me and TJ do. Like this, while it has its value, doesn't change shit.
Mm-hmm.
We need to encourage more interpersonal political discussions and communications in this country. And that should be encouraged at every sequence of events. If that annoys you, you're part of the fucking problem.
Yes.
You wonder why things never get better and it's always dysfunctional. It's because people don't care enough. That's why.
Yes. And I was about Saquon Barkley. Like, if you've seen anything about Saquon Barkley over the last couple of years, you're not shocked. You're like, okay, all right. I kind of figured that about Saquon Barkley just from what I've seen in the past, but this confirms all my suspicions.
I think he would have voted for Kamala. Like, I think that he would vote Democrat, and he's just kind of like, I don't see what the problem is. It's the president. Of course I'm going to hang out with the president. I could be wrong about that. I don't closely follow Saquon. Maybe you got some inside intel that I don't have, but I would guess that he generally would have voted against Donald Trump. He just doesn't. He's just kind of a dumb. You know, he's a professional athlete who focuses on his job and doesn't really follow this shit.
I get strong Patrick Mahomes vibes from Saquon Barkley, and a lot is like with his spouse and the stuff that she said in the past. Like, okay, all right, this is checking out for me here. But what John mentioned that what?
I say you got a problem with the interracial dating there, TJ?
No, some stuff she said. I said not who she is, and stuff she said. Yes,
TJ is probably like these black men need to put the snow bunnies down.
And so I'm turning to Dr. Umar over here. No, Saquon Barkley has turned me into Dr. Umar. No, but John is right that I encourage people to talk about a lot more of the stuff that we've been told not to discuss. How much you make it work, religion, politics, specifically politics. Like, politics are probably number one on my list right there, because John's right. A lot of people, like, maybe Saquon Barkley feels this way, maybe not, but he wouldn't be the only person. You'll still hear it today when people, mainly from conservatives, where they'll say, look, you shouldn't lose friendships over politics. You shouldn't be mad at someone because they have different politics. Yes, you should. And it's perfectly fine, because your politics are a direct reflection of your values. And if your values are dog shit, if your values are, I respect people differently based upon where they were born, or, I don't think women should have the same privileges and rights as men, due process is only for certain folk in this issue. No, those are horrible values. And and if you don't want to judge some of their politics, fine. Your values, you should judge people on. You should judge them on it all day long, and you shouldn't feel bad for it.
All right. That seems like a wonderful point to wrap up on, TJ, unless you had anything else you want to talk about.
Nope, I think that's it. Tomorrow on the main show, we have EK joining us from What's Good English, so it should be a pretty good time.
Wonderful. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 6:30 EST. This has been The Left Wing. See you later.
Later. Oh, we got to cover what Jaden just asked there.